Hi, Brian Vollmer here. I've been the lead singer of Helix for, well, since the beginning, back in 1974. And I'm here today to talk to you about our first album, Breaking Loose, which was an independent album that we released ourselves back at that time on the H&S record label, which meant Helix and Sipe. Bill Sipe was our manager. It's ironic that I'm talking about today in 2019 because this year it's going to be re-released on Prague JR Records in Europe, so many years later it's still a popular selling item. That album was written as we were touring in bars across Canada, and we put our first original set on stage on a maritime our first maritime tour, and I remember that was a pretty tough tour back then. We traveled through the city of Moncton about 10 times and never actually played Moncton, and we were traveling in Paul Hackman's Mazda, 5 of us in that little car, and someone spilt some milk on the back floor and it went sour, and so the car just reeked of the stink of sour milk the whole tour, and it didn't matter what we did. We ripped up the carpets, we poured on baking soda, and we came back to Ontario, and we decided after a meeting with our manager William Sipe that we were going to record an album. And so with money from my grandmother, my parents, Brent Durner's parents, William Sipe's parents, and a little bit from himself, we spent $26,000, which was a heck of a lot of money back then, and still is nowadays. You can record an album nowadays for less money. And we went into Springfield Sound Studios, which was a schoolhouse just outside of London, Ontario, in the little village of Springfield, Ontario, to record the album. The studio was owned by Brian Ferryman, who later went on to manage Michelle Wright. Now, we checked around and we tried, we talked about different producers we wanted. Everybody wanted Bob Seger, to tell you the truth, and Punch. And we actually sent a letter to Bob Seger and Punch's manager about producing the album, and they were kind enough to send a letter back that said they were too busy to do it, but you know, they probably weren't into the songs, who knows. But we ended up choosing Bob Morton, who had done a Quebec band called Harmonium, which sold platinum in the province of Quebec. So Bob Morton showed up a little late the first day in the studio, and we were all worried because back then we were very time conscious, and we actually used to have fines if anybody were late for meetings or coming to practice or whatever, right? And you'd lose like 10 bucks off your pay, and at that time it was a lot of money because we only made about 90 bucks a week. But we recorded the album in 1979, and it was released on the H&S label, like I said before. And we eventually sold about 15,000 copies of that album, mostly off stage between sets. We used to get so much to sell the albums, and it used to supplement our income. And it led to our first ever tour of the state of Texas, because it had 2 hits off it. Billy Oxygen, which was written by Paul and Brent, and also Your Woman Now, which was written by Paul. And especially the song Your Woman Now became a huge hit in the state of Texas, largely due to a guy named Joe Anthony, who was known as the Godfather of rock and roll, and he worked at KAMAC out of San Antonio, and Joe controlled that whole Texas market, and he loved that song. He played the shit out of it, and also got a lot of airplay at Amarillo College thanks to Chris Johnson, who was the program director down there. So
the Amarillo College Department of Radio TV, in conjunction with Electronic Horizon and Hitachi, presents Jackson Street Live, featuring Helix with Haven West, The Lubbock Lights, and Watcher.
your car, heading out to your local bar. The music's hot, the band is tight. The lady in the corner, she looks out of sight. You're feeling good, you're feeling mean. You got to blow up a little steam like a runaway train. Just can't stop. You push your body until it drops. Take your time to mess around. You know your music and you know that sound. Rock and roll, hard and fast. Only got break it loose tonight. Break it loose. All night. Break it loose. Ain't got time to wait. Break it loose. Break it loose. Yeah, break it loose. Break it loose tonight. Head is tumbling and you feel no pain. Rock and roll shouting you insane. Call a waiter for another round. Room is spinning round and round. See the lady at the end of the bar. Maybe she'd like a ride in your car. You need some love and you need it fast. Only got 2 days to make it last. Break it loose tonight. Break it loose. All right. Break it loose. Ain't got time to wait. Break it loose. Break it loose. Yeah, break it loose. Break it loose tonight. Yeah, break it loose tonight. Break it loose. 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 Tonight. Break it loose. Tonight. Break it loose tonight,
So we set off to do our first ever American tour with 4 dates.
Hi y'all, this is Dallas, Texas. We're going to kick ass tonight.
We're in Dallas at the Bijou Club.
Hi y'all.
They're already rocking, y'all. We're just ready to go on. We just had an excellent dinner served to us by the Bijou hosts.
No, by Stone City Attractions, our promoter in San Antonio, Texas.
Everybody's going to be stepping.
Our first one was in Helotiz, outside of San Antonio, and there we played with Y&T, and I still see Dave Menenchetti nowadays. Y&T are still around. And then we went to, I believe, Houston, and we played the Bijou in Dallas, and Amarillo College, where we played Jackson Street live. And it was just a wonderful experience, and everybody back home, we were stars, because we had gone down to, and played in the United States, which was a big deal back then. And I'd like to note here that we were one of the first bands ever to release an independent album. You know, it became really fashionable in the 90s to release an indie album, but we had done it in 1979, and we broke down a lot of barriers and walls for Canadian bands, and now it's quite common for Canadian bands to go down and play in the United States.